トビデオ
This is gonna be a tricky one. Angel's Egg. It's, well, you don't see anime like this every day. Produced under Studio Dean and released on December 15th, 1985, Angel's Egg is a lot of things. It's deliberately slow-paced, it's bleak to the point of nihilism, it's insanely minimalist when it comes to things like dialogue, characterization, and plot, but insanely maximalist when it comes to imagery, art direction, and symbolism. So much symbolism. I know we've covered anime that has pushed creative boundaries when it comes to both art and storytelling, but this is the first time I've covered an anime this experimental. Angel's Egg requires a lot of thoughts and a lot of research if one wants to talk about it and do it justice. And in order to adequately talk about this anime, I am going to have to summon all the knowledge I have gained from college English courses, media studies classes, and years of repeated viewings of Brows Held High. In fact, this is going to be another one of those anime that you are better off watching first before watching this video. You can totally find it on YouTube in great quality, so just pause this video for 70 minutes and just take Angel's Egg all in. If you just continue on with the rest of this video, you'll just be ruining the anime for yourself. And just to show you I'm not messing around here, here's a quick synopsis of the whole damn anime. We begin with a young soldier who wears a constant facial expression that resembles that of a college student who has pulled an all-nighter, standing amongst a Salvador Dali-esque landscape as he witnesses a giant orb filled with statues descend to the surface. We then cut to a scene where a young girl, awakened by the commotion, gazes out at the city before her. From there, she returns to her bed where we see she has an egg about the size of an ostrich's. As the opening credits roll, the girl wraps the egg up, places it underneath her dress and against her stomach as if she was pregnant, and sets off to parts unknown. The first quarter is devoted to us spending time with the girl as she wanders about the forest and then the city, collecting flasks, drinking water from them, and appearing to mildly hallucinate. Basically having the average Friday night in Seattle. At one point, she encounters the soldier from the beginning riding on a platoon of tanks, but she runs off in fear before any real interaction can begin. Sometime later, the girl puts her egg down for a minute to gaze out at some sunken ruins, but the soldier appears again. He produces the egg from his cloak and chides the young girl for leaving it alone. From that point onward, the two of them become pseudo-traveling companions. Soon thereafter, the two of them encounter a throng of spear-carrying fishermen chasing after the shadows of fish, flinging their spears at the shadows to no avail and only destroying the buildings. After securing a promise from the soldier that he will not harm the egg, the girl takes him back to her home. There, the soldier sees a painting of a tree that appears to trigger a memory for him. The soldier then asks the girl how long she's been here and where exactly is she from. She replies that she has no idea. The soldier then replies that he has no idea where he's from as well. He then begins to tell the tale of Noah's Ark, but this time with a twist. Eat your heart out, Aronofsky. The soldier theorizes that since so much time has passed that it is entirely possible that the dove from the story didn't even really exist. The girl insists that the dove did exist and that she has proof. The girl then states that she will hatch a new dove from the egg she is carrying. As both night and rain begins to fall, the girl falls asleep. While she's asleep, the soldier takes the egg and smashes it with the butt of his cross-shaped weapon. Rude. When morning comes, the girl wakes up and finds the shattered remains of her egg. In her grief, she runs out of the building to confront the soldier on the horizon, but before she can reach him, she falls into a flooded ravine and sinks below the surface. As she drowns in the dark depths, the last of her air bubbles reach the surface to form more eggs, similar to the one she had. And thus the movie ends with the soldier standing motionless on the desolate shoreline, watching the orb from the beginning rise out of the ocean. The only difference being that this time it has a new statue of the young girl holding the egg. And the weird part is that even though I've pretty much told you what happens in this movie, I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. To really understand why Angel's Egg is the way that it is, you have to look at its director, Mamoru Oshii. Prolific, ambitious, possibly the only one who could have made a film like this. We've talked about Oshii before in our Dalos video, but as I said in that video, Dalos is not really the best representation of Oshii's work. He really felt more like a gun for hire, if anything. Angel's Egg, on the other hand, is the anime Oshii-san always wanted to do. In 1977, Oshii began his career in animation working for Tatsunoko Productions as a storyboarder under the mentorship of Hisayuki Toriumi. Once Toriumi left Tatsunoko to go to the newly formed Studio Pierrot in 1980, Oshii followed soon afterwards. But because the studio was so short-staffed at the time, and they had just taken on a contract to make an anime adaptation of the then most popular manga Urusei Yatsura, Oshii was soon promoted to director. Now you need to understand that something like this is quite rare in the anime industry. Usually, an artist has to spend years in the trenches working as an in-betweener or a storyboarder before they can move on up to more prestigious positions such as key animator or animation director, let alone director of a whole project. Hayao Miyazaki, for example, had spent 8 years working as an in-betweener and background artist before he even made his proper directorial debut with the first Lupin series, and he still had to share it with his friend and collaborator Isao Takahata. Oshii, meanwhile, had achieved a seat in the director's chair on one of the most anticipated anime titles of the day in just 3 years. Whether it was merit or an insane amount of luck, no one could deny that Oshii was a perfect fit for the position. Being a proper place where Oshii could hone his craft as a director, Urusei Yatsura would end up leading to Oshii making his film debut. His first film, Urusei Yatsura Only You, played it safe, and aside from employing a few of his trademark visual elements, did not try to push the envelope too hard. His second film, Urusei Yatsura Beautiful Dreamer, is where he really found his groove. Replacing the series' trademark wacky hijinks with surrealist imagery and deep philosophical themes on the nature of dreams and reality, Beautiful Dreamer garnered accolades both at home and abroad and made Oshii a household name for anime fans. And yet, Oshii felt creatively stifled by Urusei Yatsura. For one thing, it wasn't his story, and obviously he felt limited in the direction he could possibly take the anime and its characters. He wanted to make an anime that had the direction he perfected in Beautiful Dreamer and used it for his own story. And with his work on Dalos and Beautiful Dreamer showing him that there was indeed a market for more introspective anime, he made a decision. In 1984, Oshii left Studio Pierrot for Studio Dean, which made him free to produce the kind of anime he wanted to make. And as you can see, Mamoru Oshii just went off. The result was not well received. Angel's Egg got drubbed by critics and video sales were low, thus making it an ambitious failure for the time. It was such an outright bomb that Roger Corman somehow managed to get permission to use footage of it for a cheap post-apocalypse B-movie of his called In the Aftermath, which I don't recommend watching. Oshii himself has said on record that Angel's Egg was so unsuccessful that it kept him from getting work for years, which is an obvious exaggeration if one just looks at his filmography. He still did work on anime like Zillion, directed a segment for Twilight Q, and even did a live action film at one point. Hell, even after production on Angel's Egg wrapped, Oshii was in talks to work with Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata on a joint film project titled Anchor, but that never got past the planning stages, possibly thanks to one too many clash of visions between those three creative minds. But now on to Angel's Egg itself. Animation-wise, it is divine in a way that befits its thematic subject matter. This is why people call the 80s a golden age for anime. You don't see hand-drawn animation like this anymore. So smooth, so fluid, so incredibly stylized, yet so amazingly organic, and all without losing any detail. This is partially because Angel's Egg was the first producer's credit for Toshio Suzuki, who was the same producer who helped Miyazaki and Takahata found Studio Ghibli that same year. So a lot of the animators who worked on Angel's Egg would soon become future Ghibli mainstays. We've been talking about Studio Ghibli a lot in these past few weeks, haven't we? You have Toshio Kawaguchi, who animated the intro where the orb comes crashing down in a cloud of dust in a scene that perfectly emphasizes the sheer scale of it all. You have Makiko Futaki, who animated the scene of the young girl drowning, a tragic scene made beautiful by the way she makes the surrounding void water just by the way the girl's hair and clothes move. And you have Toyoaki Amura, who, on top of being a frequent collaborator of Oshii's, did this scene. What starts out as a scene of the girl doing her morning routine over the opening credits becomes a beautiful exercise in character animation that tells us all we need to know about the girl without a single line of dialogue. But even with this great animation, it would be nothing without its art direction, all of which was headed up by Yoshitaka Amano. Amano was, and still is, one of Japan's most prolific artists with his own trademark style, a style that evokes an Art Nouveau feel with its elegant usage of watercolors and Baroque designs. But his work always appears to be compromised when transitioning to the moving picture, whether it be through cutting animation costs or the limitations of video game technology. Here, no such compromise exists. Amano crafted a unique, surrealist world that's equal parts dreamlike and melancholy. Bright lights, harsh shadows, settings that are dominated by oppressive blues and pinks. And it's a world where his very unique character designs do not feel out of place. As one anime guidebook described Angel's Egg, it's more animated art than story. But while Amano contributed heavily to the look of the film, it was still Oshii's baby. In an interview, Amano stated that he was deliberately trying to visualize Oshii's world, and that's good because even with all the artistic talent, Angel's Egg would not have been able to shine so brightly as a piece of art if it wasn't for Oshii's direction. Since dialogue is minimal, the story is told mostly through visuals. Oshii accomplishes this through employing a style of cinematic slowness. Oshii will just linger on a scene and allow the viewer to take in everything. Now, some people could deride this practice as just a simple cost-cutting measure made to just pad out the runtime and to save the animation budget, and to them, any emotional payoff in those scenes are just happy accidents. But this is a deliberate choice on the part of Oshii. His direction just hypnotizes you that you couldn't even look away even if you tried. The style of direction isn't something Oshii invented, however. Oshii is instead taking inspiration from one of his biggest influences, Andrei Tarkovsky. While not a mainstream name like, say, Hitchcock or even Kubrick, Tarkovsky has influenced and continues to influence filmmakers from around the globe. And it's easy to see why. Tarkovsky's style of direction is slow and methodical, to the point where some find it frustrating. But it's a style that allows his work to express big ideas with just visuals alone. Tarkovsky knew how to use imagery to his advantage. Even his slowest scenes were so visually interesting that you could not help but get drawn into them. It's easy to see why Oshii was inspired by him because it's an effective style for telling this kind of minimalist story. There are so many shots that feel like they got lifted straight out of one of Tarkovsky's films, almost literally in fact. Most noteworthy is this shot. It's a long take of the girl sleeping and the soldier sitting beside her bed deep in thought. This shot lasts for a full 2 minutes and 44 seconds, and the only animation we see is of the girl stirring in her sleep and the campfire slowly dying. There's a sort of tension in the air as the fire slowly flickers and begins to fade, and the soundtrack plays a haunting melody that suggests something bad's about to happen. Only after the fire goes out, the soundtrack goes silent, and the girl turning over in her sleep to reveal her egg at the tail end of the scene, do you realize what's about to happen. But it's not just visual direction that makes Angel's Egg resonate so much. There's also audio direction. I could talk about Yoshihiro Kano's sublime soundtrack and how it's equal parts beautiful, nightmarish, and sorrowful. But what I really want to talk about is more about how Angel's Egg uses the absence of sound. There are long stretches of the movie where the only sound you hear are just ambiance. You know, rain, running water, the rustling of clothes, the wind, stuff like that. And in doing so, it makes it so that when a loud sound breaks the calm, it resonates. Like this scene of the girl waking up to find out that the soldier smashed her egg. There's no soundtrack, just the rustling of her clothes and bed sheets, followed by the sounds of her walking on the stone floor, broken up by her stepping on an eggshell. She picks the shell up and stares at it in complete silence. All we hear at this point is the wind. And then... But you know what the real kicker is? Because the sound design relies on long stretches of ambiance and dialogue is kept to a minimum, when dialogue does appear, you know you're gonna listen. And by paying attention to the dialogue, we have a better understanding what Angel's Egg is about. Now, of course, when I talk about what Angel's Egg is about, I'm not talking about the plot. If one takes Angel's Egg at surface level, the plot is barely there. It's basically just two people wandering, occasionally exchanging words, and watching shadow puppet theater for a few minutes. And of course that's not all there is. Because of how the movie is structured and shot, people are encouraged to look beyond the events of the story. Oshii is notoriously recalcitrant when it comes to talking about Angel's Egg, especially when it comes to people asking him what the film is about, mostly saying that time has caused him to simply forget what he was talking about when he made it. And you know what? That's okay, because him having all the answers to what Angel's Egg is really about would ruin the movie. Being so dense in themes and symbolism, Angel's Egg is just one of those films that's open to a lot of interpretations, and all of them are valid. I've read discussions on if the egg represents faith in God or false idols, whether the soldier represents Christ, Buddha, Noah, or even Cain, or if the entirety of Angel's Egg could actually be just one big coming-of-age story. But we can't realistically discuss every interpretation of Angel's Egg because I'd like to keep this video under an hour if possible. So I'll just focus on two possible themes that resonated with me the most: identity and faith. The question of identity is always a reoccurring theme in Oshii's works, and here is no exception. In the sparse dialogue between our two leads, they have a reoccurring question between the two of them. Neither one of them gets an answer, and neither do the audience. The reason why is because neither know who they are as well. This is emphasized near the end of the soldier's monologue about the parable of Noah. He says he remembers being a part of that and seeing the dove fly off, but the fact that it has been so long that he's not only just wondering if it was all a dream, but also wondering if he even really exists.
Toっくにいなくなってしまった人たちの記憶でしかなくて、本当は誰もいない世界に雨が降っているだけなのかもしれないんだ。
But this works because the characters of Angel's Eggs aren't really characters, but actually representations of ideas. Which brings us to the theme of faith. There is a lot of Christian imagery in Angel's Egg, so much so that one could compare it to another anime with liberal usage of such imagery. But unlike Evangelion, Oshii honestly does have a grasp of what the Christian symbolism actually means. The weapon that the soldier carries on his back is shaped like a cross. Most of the imagery of water alludes to baptism. Even the shadow fish harken back to the usage of fish in Christian iconography. But there's also a lot of references to Eastern theology, such as the egg, which is an important symbol in the Japanese creation myth where the universe of old was described as heaven and earth, not yet separated, a chaotic mass like an egg. What I'm getting at here is that the religious focus of Angel's Egg isn't on one singular religion. When discussing his personal beliefs, Oshii has said, all religions start in pessimism and ends in optimism. I admit I am a religious type, but I do not believe in any specific religion. So Angel's Egg is less an examination on Christian belief and more of an examination of belief in and of itself. The soldier spends most of his dialogue asking questions not only about himself or his surroundings, but also questions about the little girl and her egg. He represents the idea of reality.
その卵の中には何が入っているのかな？卵は割ってみなければ、その中に何が入っているのかわからないものだよ。
The little girl, meanwhile, has an undying faith that her egg will hatch into a dove, thus being the reason why she is so protective of it. She represents the idea of faith.
お願い。私の卵に何にもしないって約束して。
And of course, the constant questioning of the soldier and the unwavering belief of the little girl conflict with one another.
聞こえる。小さな息をする音。
それは君の胸の音だよ。
羽の音も。きっと空を飛ぶ夢を見てるのね。
それは外の風の音だよ。
However, neither of their positions are vilified or commended per se. The soldier, while appearing to be a directionless, uncaring cynic, has a world weariness about him that makes his constant prying into the young girl's affairs feel a little more understandable.
その卵の中に何がいるのか、まだ教えてもらえないのかな？
Meanwhile, the little girl's fate that the edge could hatch into a bird, even if it hatches at all, can be seen as naive, delusional even, an example of how faith can easily give way to blind faith. So when the soldier destroys the girl's egg, it's not out of him wanting to get one over on her in a way that only a self-serving logic lord would do, but rather he is freeing her of a lifetime of clinging to a false hope. And considering that the contents of the egg might as well have been nothing, the soldier could easily be seen as in the right. But when you see how the film frames this moment, it's not an uplifting moment or a triumphant moment, but a moment that's, at best, incredibly bittersweet. I mean, you could totally see it as a moment of hope. Film critic Chris Stuckman talks about this interpretation in his video on Angel's Egg, which you should totally check out. But I myself saw it as more of a hard truth, if anything. The soldier is essentially giving this girl a mercy killing, and this girl's blind faith that she is carrying what she thinks could be mankind's last hope is just a form of escapism. She's no better than the faceless fishermen who spend all their time desperately trying to catch literal shadows. So by breaking this egg, he is giving the young girl a chance to escape this world that he must now wander alone. The thesis of this film being that the cure for blind faith and false hope is a healthy dose of reality. Point that's emphasized by the powerful final shot, showing that the world they are on consists of only one island. An island that is shaped like a giant overturned boat. A boat large enough to be an ark. But still, this is just my reading of the film, just one of many others. I'm sure plenty of you who have seen this film also have your own interpretations of this film. Angel's Egg is just one of those anime that you just lament can't be made anymore. It may be more tone poem than anime, but you have to be thankful that a film like this was animated in the first place. Think about how limited the imagery would be if it was shot in live action. We should be glad an anime like this exists. And yet, an anime of this artistic caliber has not yet received an official release outside of Japan in any major capacity. I mean, sure, you can watch it for free on YouTube, but only if you're looking for it specifically. What about the people who would stumble on this anime while looking through a video store or a con table? What about non-anime fans who would have better chances stumbling across it if it was in a physical form or on a streaming network? To me, Angel's Egg is a movie everyone needs to experience. It's a movie that does not carry a universal feeling of what's it about and what you should feel. Everyone will come away from this movie feeling something different. And there's something so refreshing about that. So when you sit down to watch Angel's Egg and come away wondering what exactly you just watched, you should ask yourself this question: what do you think you just watched?